Board of Education, Sites and Facilities, today, March 1st. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. And Mike, do you want to go ahead and take it away?
Sure.
Excited about everything you've got to show us tonight.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, so tonight, thank you everybody for coming. Thrilled to see a big turnout. Just to kind of recap the way tonight was set up, so this was our standard sites meeting as it was originally calendared. Coming right after this, though, is the special full board, and the reason these are back to back is because we are under a tight deadline to make sure Antonio is able to get all of these specs up to the state for approval by next week. So our hope is today that the presentation will be answer all your questions. We will have an action in sites to approve the specs with some very specific language that we'll have to read to the word. Once we gavel out from sites, we will roll straight into a full board where there'll be an opportunity to ask just a few additional questions for anybody who wasn't at sites. But then we'll move directly into the action, so full board can approve the action item, which will give Antonio the authority he needs to then take it on upwards to the state for his meeting. So one item on the agenda today, Career Academy Phase 2, the most exciting phase. This is construction, walls, all the stuff that makes it start to look like a school. So I'll turn it over to Antonio.
Mike has to turn it on. Good evening, everyone. For the record, my name is Antonio Irola. I am the city engineer and the public works director for the city of Danbury. And tonight I also have some colleagues of mine, co-workers. I have the architect from Friar here. And we're going to update you on, as Mike said, probably everything that you have worked with us on has led us to get to a point tonight where we can actually do the fit out of all of the building spaces. And you're also going to see a build out for the site, including some of the circulations. And we also have some renderings of color that the school administration has picked. We've been working with the school staff and also Kevin's office and all of his administrative folks to get to where we are today. So we're very excited to be here. I'm just going to update you a little bit because I think the last time I was here was in September of 2022. So since then, a lot's happened. The city actually closed down a building on November 22 of 2022. We have already gone in and secured a very critical approval for a zone change. We've also secured some zoning variances that we needed in order to actually build a school, as you see it tonight. We've also secured EIC approval, which is your Wetlands Commission approval. Although we're not disturbing wetlands, we are in what's called their upland review area, which required them to actually grant us a approval and a permit. Phase 1 was approved by the state. We went out to bid and we've actually awarded Phase 1, which is in construction right now. That was in January of 2023. And we just on February 22nd, 2023, we actually met with the building committee to do pretty much the same presentation that we're going to do with you folks this evening. So we've been moving along, granting, securing, and getting approvals for all of the critical aspects of making this school project real. Just so everybody, we're discussing Phase 2 tonight, so I figure I could probably give you a quick overview of the way we broke this project out with the state of Connecticut. It is 4 distinct phases. Phase 1 was the demo phase, which you guys gave me approval for in September. We also pre-purchased a bunch of equipment that has long lead item, so all of that is in the works. Phase 2 is the heart of the project, as I mentioned to you. Phase 3 is all of the furniture, fixtures, and other equipment that we need in order for you guys to run your school and educate the kids. Phase 4 is the technology phase, which we always save to the very end, and that's where we purchase all of the technology. There's quite a bit of it in the school, and we usually wait to the very end to buy that, so we buy the most current technology available. I'll give you a very quick overview of this building project. The existing building is a steel frame building with insulated metal panels on the outside of the building. The floors are concrete on top of a metal deck. There's going to be brand new roofs on all of the buildings. The gym addition, which our architect will go over with you, is a concrete slab on grade, steel frame structure, and it's going to be an insulated block wall on the exterior. So building-wise, when you start taking a look at the square footage with the addition, the existing building is right around 254,000 square feet, so a fairly large building. The gym addition is about 12,000 square feet, and the new total facility square footage is right around 266,000 square feet. Approximately 33 or 32,000 square feet of this building is going to be dedicated to the Board of Education administrative offices. So for the first time ever, the Board of Education administrative offices will all be in one location where they can really work together and be more efficient and collaborate a little more than they maybe do now. The building itself is it's probably the largest school in Danbury right now, other than our existing high school. It's one of the largest schools that we probably built for the Board of Education. So having said that, I'm going to turn it over to our architect. I will come back and update you on budgets, schedules, and all of that good stuff. So Glenn from Fryer Associate is here.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for having us. Tonight, we're going to show you some exciting. We're very proud of the work that we've done, and we're anxious to show it off to you. Just a couple things. When the project first started, the board approved the education specifications, prepared it, and that's pretty much the vision that we went forward with to design the building. So I just want to give a kind of a summary as to that, and then we're going to go through some PowerPoint slides. And Jamie, who has been the lead person in the office, correcting the WIP to make sure that we met the deadlines and everything on the project. She's going to go through the plans. We have the Board of Ed offices in a portion of the building. We have the middle school, which is about just under 62,000 square feet. In that part of the building is the main office. There's 15 general classrooms. There's 2 art classrooms, 3 science classrooms. We have vocal and band rooms, small group instructions, a middle school commons area, staff offices, conference rooms, guidance offices, and a variety of storage and technology rooms. On the high school side, the academy side, it's about 84,000 square feet. We have 1,040 students there. They're located primarily on the 4-story wing, which exclusively on the 2nd through 4th, and on the 1st floor there's some shared spaces. But we have the main office, 25 general classrooms, 2 art rooms, 4 science rooms, a band room, a greenhouse classroom, commons space, health and fitness classrooms, there's 5, We have the academy spaces, which include the environmental and renewable energy lab, sports and human performance, biomedical, allied health for CNA lab, allied health for EMT, medical tech and engineering, and a bunch of the business investment management, global supply. There's 4 classrooms there, along with the guidance career center. Again, small group classrooms, offices for staff, workrooms, conference rooms. And then we have the shared spaces that will be shared between, on a scheduled basis, between middle school and high school. So we have the gym with bleachers, has a seating capacity of 386 on the bleachers. The cafeteria, there'll be 1 way for the middle school, 3 ways for the high school, a seating capacity for each way of about 400. We have the media center, which has 2 internal classrooms to the media center. The black box theater, which has fixed seating for 350 students. And then we have the nurse and medical facilities, which are separate for middle school and high school, but they're in the same locale. Common spaces within the building, we have 6 elevators within the building, 1 of which will be new for the Board of Ed space. There's 6 stairs. Again, 1 will be new, and that position in the building is central to the building because there's a lot of vertical circulation, especially it's on the high school side, so it's quite a wide stair. A variety of toilet rooms that are both, the building had existing facilities, so they're being reused, and then in order to meet the code requirements, we added additional bathrooms. Shower rooms, both at the gym and at the fitness areas. Storage and receiving, the kitchen and servery is primarily existing, but there's some minor tweaks that have happened with that. Security offices in the building, and then mechanical and IT spaces. The site has a total of 1,044 spaces, and those will be dedicated for the Board of Ed, student parking, school staff, visitor spaces. There's a dedicated bus loop and a dedicated parent drop-off, and there's an outdoor classroom. So I wanted to kind of go through the PowerPoint, and I know that it's to your backs there, and I'll do my best to explain things. And I think I'm just too far away. Okay. So the site, the main road coming up is here. The buses, once they reach this point, will come down the road this way and drop off students behind the gym, and then continue on. We'll again be using this loop around here and out. There's a number of accessible spots. There are also 4 electric vehicle charging stations. This is your outdoor classroom and the gym addition. The Board of Ed entrance will be here, and they're parking directly across. The main entrance to the school is here. So visitors will be in this location coming into the building. And then there's an entrance here, which students will be coming in via the buses and elsewhere. And then there's obviously a number of exit requirements for code and so forth. So that's the site. There is a bypass road that comes around the perimeter of the parking so that during the day, if the buses are queued, there is a way to come back out. As if you've been to the site, you know that there's a huge parking lot in the back here, which isn't shown on this slide. There's really no scope of work for the project back there, other than to make sure our security cameras are working. But that's a site. There is a existing outdoor patio, if you will, right off the cafeteria. So on nice days, there are tables out there that could be used, and it is fenced in. A very nice wall that was existing. So Jean's gonna kind of walk you through the plans.
This is page 3 in your packet if you want to see it up close.
So this is the first floor of the building. Sorry, who's gonna have to stand up? There we go. Up in this left corner, top corner, you'll see that that is the Board of Ed space for the first floor. The Board of Ed takes up the first and second floor in this area of the 4-story building. In this area, you'll see you have your main entrance over here, along with, and when you walk in, you're directly next to the boardroom, which has a folding partition that can be utilized to divide it into 3 spaces, 2 spaces, whatever your choosing is for whatever events you have going on in there. The rest of the space is offices and conference rooms and some mechanical systems here, and about here is where your elevator is. For the high school and middle school, your main entrance is down here, and off of there you have a Pathways classroom and some more business Pathways classrooms. When you enter into the lobby, you can either go to the high school main office or go to your left and go directly upstairs to the 2nd floor where the middle school main office is, which we'll see on the next slide. Also in this area are the nurses. They are separated between middle school and high school, so there's no overlap there. And you also have your black box theater and your gymnasium above that with locker rooms and more toilet rooms for all of the assembly spaces. As you go over, there's existing mechanical boiler spaces that are going to be reused, and you also have your cafeteria here with the kitchen. And then as you continue down, these are your health and wellness classrooms and fitness classrooms. And then there's one more pathway classroom here, the EMT pathway classroom, which has direct through this corridor out this stairway access to where an ambulance can pull up for any teachings that need to go on there. And then this is the 2nd floor. So when you come up that stair off the lobby, your main office, middle school main office, is right in here. And then this whole area consists of your middle school. There's general classrooms, your band room, and chorus room. And as you cross over, in between we have the media center and some art classrooms. There's a middle school and high school art classroom. As you continue over to the left side of the building, this is all separated for the high school. And then above that is your 2nd level of Board of Education. On your 3rd floor, you'll see that the high school and middle school are completely separated as there's a low roof in between. These are, again, your general middle school classrooms and science classrooms up at the top area here. On the high school side, these are all general classrooms. The high school commons is here, and then there is a guidance and career center in this center area. On the 4th floor, this is all high school. There's some more of your pathways, your greenhouse and environmental pathways, as well as your high school science classrooms and a few more general high school classrooms. To take you through, we did some renderings of some of the spaces. At the top here, you'll see the main 1st floor corridor. where you can see logos that have been created with a graphic designer to depict the concept behind each of the pathways. On the 4th floor, we also have some walls that also show some of those logos to help direct people. And you'll notice from some of the finished boards, you'll see that the colors are associated with each pathways. On the top right here, this is the EMT classroom. And you can see over here, there will be an ambulance simulator in the classroom, so the kids can experience and go in and do a lot of learning in there. Then this is on the 4th floor, another pathways classroom, the allied health, where there's also, this is where they get to experience working with the medical beds and all the technology that comes along with that. This is one of our finished boards, which we also have over here, showing you the different colors and finishes that have been selected. So if you want to take a closer look, they're visible over here. This is the middle school commons, which the high school commons would be very similar. There's just different colors associated with the high school versus middle school. And it's a very collaborative area, a place to go between classes or during your free time. There's a lot of chairs, soft seating, and acoustical panels up in the ceiling to help control the noise that maybe kids create. This is the media center, which is a collaborative space between both the high school and middle school have access to this space from their sides of the buildings. This is a view of the entrance to the Black Box Theater. And this is a view of inside the Black Box Theater. As you can see, it's very dark from this view, but this is for presentation, so we have theatrical lighting to help any presenter make their work visible, as well as large screens high above so that they can present and everyone sitting in the bleachers can see the work clearly. This is a view of the gymnasium. You can see we have the bleachers in the background. And this is a view from the bleachers looking towards the platform. This is the finished board, which is also over here for the colors of the Black Box Theater and the gymnasium, and a few of the other main areas of the school. And last but not least, this is the board room for the Board of Education. We have a lot of warm tones in here. You can see the wood paneling on the walls. There are 2 projector screens and monitors all over the walls so that anybody in the space can see clearly what is being presented. And there's your exterior of the building.
So just a couple things. It was very important in the design that we be able to separate the middle school and the high school students. That was achieved, I think, pretty successfully. The first floor is a lot of common spaces. So there's maybe times in the day when, depending on what that schedule is, that could happen. But up from the second floor up, it's pretty much segregated. So on the second floor, the middle school, there is access to the common media center from the middle school side or from the high school side. So they're not passing one another. Middle school is not going into the high school side to get into the media center. So it's achieved that way. There is a common stair here from egress point of view, which is an existing stair. We couldn't do really anything about it, so we're treating it with hardware and access hardware so that on a day-to-day basis, you're not passing through it. But on an emergency, we have to be able to exit the building. So we're doing the best we can. On the third floor, it becomes real simple. There's no way that they're crossing over. The first floor with the back to the first floor.
There's one more.
Okay. On the first floor, the cafeteria
So this is the main stair that high school students will probably go up and down towards the cafeteria. The middle school side will be something that they're gonna have to work out, but they can come down this stair or this stair and coming down the hallway and into the queue for the servery. The gym, high school students using that, the path of travel that's least disruptive is probably this way into the gym and then into the locker room areas. So, as I said, I think it's pretty well segregated, but there is going to be some cross at times, and especially in emergencies. The finishes, we only brought 2 finish boards. There's actually 6 of them. All of them have been presented to Kevin and his team and approved. We're in the process right now of developing the plans and specifications for the furniture that will go into school. Technology is also in the works, and those are phase 3 and 4, but they're going to come pretty quick on the heels of this getting approved. So that's that.
Thank you. What I'd like to do now is just kind of go over our budgets overall for the project. In the bond referendum that was approved for this project and a couple other projects, we had secured a $208 million referendum vote, which had great support. This school here was allocated $154 million of the 208. Remember, 208 also includes all the finance charges and bond costs that actually go out of secured bonds. Phase 1, which, as I mentioned to you, was awarded, the final cost for construction was $8.3 million. That came in $3 million under budget, as it was estimated, so we did really well there. Phase 2 is estimated at $80,279,000. Phase 3 that Glenn just spoke a little bit about, which is the FF&E, it's all the furniture. That is currently, we're allocated a budget of about $3.3 million. And then finally, the technology budget, which is a large technology budget, is about $2.2 million. There is a contingency of 2.5%, which is worth about $2.5 million. And then when you couple all of those costs with the cost to purchase the land and the building, which was $57 million, we collectively get to about $157 million. So we're currently trending to be about $3.5 million over budget. We hope that the bid environment stays really good, as it did with phase 1, and we're able to actually hit our target number of 154, which is what the project was anticipated to come in at. As far as schedule, as I mentioned to you, phase 1 is well into construction. I know you can't go into the project, but you should see the amount of work that's been done in the last 3 weeks there is astonishing. A lot of activity, a lot of work. The weather's been great, so we've been able to kind of get some of the exterior work started, so we're well on our way. Phase 2 is anticipated, if everything goes well and we get an approval from the state, we're hoping to go into a bid scenario at the end of March. Our anticipated, well, let me talk a little bit about phase 3 and 4. Phase 3 and 4, as Glenn mentioned, is currently under design. I will be coming back to you guys and the full board to gain approvals for both of those phases. I can go over budgets at that point, but those are well into development right now. As Glenn pushed a lot of this hard work through, he immediately had dedicated staff starting on phase 3 and 4, so we're well ahead of where we thought we would be with the design of those 2 phases. With everything being what it is and us hitting the target dates of actually being allowed to go out to bid, we're hoping that the Board of Education will be able to operate and get into their spaces April of 2025. So we're anticipating a substantial completion date of mid-April 2025, where at least the Board of Ed could occupy the school, get familiar with the school, and prep for the kids that would occupy the school in August of 2025. The other thing that I just want to mention to you, and I mentioned this through the building committee, we are seeking some special legislation, and really the special legislation is targeted to probably 4 separate items. I want to share those with you. The first thing is if for some reason the bid environment changes and we end up at the $158 million, I do want to make sure that the state will reimburse us on that cost for the project. So I am requesting that they approve an increase in the project budget, just in case we don't get as lucky as we did with phase 1. That will all be on an 80% reimbursement. The next item is a consideration for us to be eligible for the cost difference between the appraised value that we secured, 2 appraisals were done, and what we ended up paying for. So the way the state works is you secure 2 appraisals. If the appraisals look comparable, they will accept them, and they usually pay out on a purchase what those appraisals are at. We ended up paying a little bit more than our appraisals came in at, although the owner's appraisals were higher than what we paid for. The only thing the state looks at is the city's appraisals. So I'm going to be requesting that the state accept the purchase price and reimburse us for the difference. The third one is just a technicality. It's all about just starting construction before we have what's called final site acquisition approval. It's in the works. We have a letter saying that they are that the project site does meet all of their requirements. We just have to finalize the approval process, which we're working on. It's never been a problem before, but I do want to just ask for that to be incorporated into special legislation. And then the last one is a consideration for paying for some swing space expenses should they occur in working with the superintendent and his staff. If we do need some swing space and there's some associated cost to that, we would like the state to reimburse us for it. I've currently asked for about $2 million in swing space consideration, so that will all be part of the special legislation that I'm working with a few legislators with. And I'll be working with our Board of Education colleagues. So having said that, I just want to personally tell you how exciting this project has been for me and my entire staff. And let me tell you, we learned a lot. We learned a lot about your curriculum, and we've gotten a good teacher. She's in the far corner here. But we've learned really about a different academic program that we've never really have designed for. And it's exciting because it really is, when this school's done, it's going to position these children to really, if they choose to, go directly into the workforce. So very exciting program. And we have an exciting site too. This site provides so much opportunity. As you all know, I was working with a much tighter site that was creating some complications. We were working through them. When this property came available, the amount of land, the amount of opportunity, the size of this existing building is just perfect. It was literally a gift from God. So, but having said that, I'll open it up to any questions you may have, and my entire team here can answer anything else that you may have.
Antonio, this may take some research. I'm gonna ask it anyway. By moving to this site rather than going into a condo where we were paying common charges, any idea how much the city will save over 20 years?
I can't put a number on it, but I am going to tell you this. It is a significant amount. At the time that we terminated our negotiations with the purchase of the condo, if you will, at the Summit, one of the biggest struggles we had was trying to come to a number. But it was, it was in the magnitude of probably $30,000, $40,000 a year in common charges. So we never finalized those discussions because negotiations came to an end. But yes, owning a building and owning the land around it is far more economically feasible than being in what would be a condominium environment, if you will, where you're paying for all the common charges, all the assessments related to any upgrades that have to be done on the property. It's just like if you were owning your own condo, how you're subjected to all of those costs and all of those assessment projects should they come through.
So there was the possibility of additional assessment on top of the common charge?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was actually in some of the preliminary negotiation documents that we were reviewing, which is pretty typical in a condominium scenario.
Thank you, sir.
Bridget? So you mentioned the 4 legislative pieces that you need to move forward.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Sure. Can you hear me now? Let's try again. So you mentioned the 4 legislative pieces that you need to move forward. Are those bundled together as one legislative piece, or are they
Yes.
separate?
Yeah, it's one document. We put together the legislative language. We've gotten pretty good at it. So we submitted it to the state. We had an initial meeting. What they're going to do is review our proposed legislation language, and they always like to make some suggestions to it. And we like that, because usually if they're making suggestions to it, they're supporting it. And that's all in the works right now. But it is one legislative document, if you will.
So second question, you mentioned that there was a differential between the appraisal and the purchase price. What was the differential?
Sure, I can go over that. I have that. So the city's appraisals came in right around $37 million. As I mentioned to you, we paid $57,200,000. The owner's appraisals, very reputable, by the way, all 4 of these appraisers. And as you know, there are extensive licensing that goes into getting an appraisal's license. It was $57,500. So we're hoping to be able to present all of these appraisals to the state, and with the special legislation, allow them to actually pay the additional cost as an eligible expense, which would be at 80%.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other? Oh, Teresa?
I'm not on the committee, is that
I think as long as anybody is then free to ask any questions.
okay? I was just,
Members that are not on the committee are asking.
Carrie. Sorry, the gym on the first floor, isn't it far away from the fitness rooms?
The fitness room are really being used for a different part of the academic program, so the adjacencies wasn't a necessity. The beauty of the gym where it's located is, as you know, it actually acts as an assembly area for a presentation. Glenn, did you mention the stage that we have set up?
Yeah, we probably should.
Look, I'm going to let Glenn just show you why that gym is placed where it is.
Right. So the existing building, if you will, this kind of L shape is the existing building. The existing building stops here, and this was all green space, parking area, and so forth. In the early design phases, and we had actually thought about, before the Board of Ed was definitely moving here, taking some columns out of the existing building and putting the gym in this location. Just became too expensive and so forth. So looking at the program, these are health rooms, really not associated directly with the gym. These 2 fitness rooms are really more exercise, dance, and so forth. Again, not necessarily. And there are locker rooms here adjacent to that. The space here worked perfectly for building a new addition. We didn't have to demo any part of the existing building to make it happen. There was enough space to get bypass around for the buses and vehicles. Associated with the gym is a small platform area for performances or speakers or just general assembly type things for the school. So there are locker rooms, the platform area, all facing out towards the bleacher area. It works pretty well from that standpoint. There's plenty of flow around it for the kids coming and going for classroom. There is a divider curtain that comes down so you can actually run 2 classes in the gym at one time. There's 2 gym offices as well as toilet facilities off the gym. So from the standpoint of using it after hours, it's very accessible. Doors leading directly outside or through a vestibule, which is a secure vestibule.
Is there an area for a weight room?
There is a small area, and I know that that's been something that's been talked about. There was weights in that building. In order to actually have the construction take place, all of that had to be moved out. Some of it went, I think, to the high school
Some
itself.
to the high school, yeah.
You know, and then eventually there'll be determination made from a curriculum standpoint as to what comes back. There's I think there's 20 stationary bikes in there that are left. This fitness room was a dance or yoga fitness room, has a wood floor, so that's remaining in place. And then some small fitness equipment will be in the next to the EMT lab.
Personally, I think young people, especially young men, like to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was concerned the fitness rooms were so far away from the gym. Just being someone who always used to, work out, I just expressed concern about the lack. Even at that age group, I think they would like something along the fitness, a workout room, more so than just bikes and.
I think it's an important note to bring forward is the design you see here meets all of the requirements of the EdSpec. I understand you have some preference in that regard, but the way we check to see if we get a good grade on our design is if we're able to hit all of the educational specs and the spaces that are required. This building delivers that.
I know that we have the common area for the middle school and the high school. Will they be dismissed out of the same entrance? Will they both be coming in the same entrance?
Now, Glenn, maybe you can cover that. There's 2 separate entrances.
There is, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think the middle school day starts the same time as the high school side. So it's set up so that there are 2 security points that students have to pass through, everybody has to pass through. And if I think it's the high school day starts earlier than the middle school, so presumably all of those students are going to be in the building by the time the middle school comes in, because they will be coming in this entrance or this entrance, all right? At dismissal time, we've set it up so that, again, buses in queue, a lot of that is going to have to be scheduled and sequenced, based on the principals and administrators in the school. But there are 2 ways to access those buses. And this is the middle school stair, and they come out this way. Maybe their buses are here. High school is on the backside because there's other exits out for them.
Could I just ask a follow-up to that dismissal question? Glenn, when you talk about the afternoon and the dismissal, let's say it's the high school, it looks like the lineup of buses, I'll call it the 80 or so there, will begin, first bus will be right by the outdoor classroom, you can see it in the picture. Right, now, will that wrap all the way around to the back, out by the road? And you mentioned sequencing by the principals. What have been the discussions so far on how dismissal would work? Would they go out another door? Would they all go out the same, walk around the building?
Right. I'm not sure I can adequately answer that question. All I can tell you that there are a number of exits along this path that could be exited by the students. Now, I know we've talked about having some kind of a digital display as to when buses are being dismissed at certain times, so that there's a queue for the students and so forth. So, with the number of buses, I mean, we went through how many different site, layouts.
Four different site designs.
Yeah.
And we worked with the existing principal at the high school who gave us the number of buses he's anticipating. And the bus that you saw in the picture, really there's going to be buses all the way down towards the front.
Yeah.
So we were able to accommodate all of the buses that we were given. And the Board of Education feels comfortable, I should say the existing principal and his staff feel comfortable that they can utilize that bus loop. As you know, bus drop-off and pickup, parent pickup is a very crucial part of school operations. So we took our lead from our from the existing principal who helped us figure out what's the best way to get these kids into school and out of school. Thank you.
Bridget? Okay, Bridget.
Thank you. I just had a quick question about the wall space. So at the existing high school, we have built-in display and gallery space throughout. So are we going to have that?
Well, yeah, we spent a lot of time locating display cabinets, bulletin boards, and so forth around the entire school. There are, at the black box, in that main corridor, there are two very large display cases right outside that entrance that are lighted so that they'll be shown at the in the media center here. In this large corridor, there are display cases in that large area, gallery spaces, and then again on the fourth floor, wherever that is. All the way at the end.
It's on the table, Glenn.
Oh, okay. Yeah. On the fourth floor with the academies up here, there are a number of display locations on the fourth floor, bulletin boards all over the place.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Mr. Pryor, could you just walk me through where the initial stage where the buses come in? The children come in, everyone is coming in on the first floor, am I correct?
That's correct. So.
Okay. And there will be a separation from the middle school because the time frame is different in the high school. That was my main concern.
Right.
When we first started this project, started talking about it, the buses was unloading like we hadn't gotten to this point.
Right.
And my concern is the young people shouldn't have been mixing with those older children.
Right.
So could you just walk me through where the buses are going to be coming in, letting the children out again?
Sure.
And I can't see that far, so, just walk me through.
I'm going to try to follow my finger here. So the roadway coming around loops around the building. Okay, this is the 4-story side of the building. Buses are going to come in and loop around. This is the entrance to the, for the Board of Ed.
Okay.
But the buses will queue all along this route, all right? The main entrance is going to be this location because there's a security office there,
Okay.
and this location because there's a security office in that, at this entrance. Both of these entrances are hardened entrances to meet the state requirements for security. They will come in here, and then if it's the middle school students, coming in here and up their stair, main stair. High school students most likely will be coming in here, you know.
Thank you.
And again, it's a staggered timeline that they're coming to the school, whether it's middle school or high school.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I have a quick question. I'm not familiar, during the snow days, I'm not familiar on the plowing requirements. I know the main road is a shared road with a different company. Who will be responsible for it?
It's a good question. As you know, the Public Works Department plows all your schools, and we will be maintaining this parking lot. We're currently doing it right now. We will not only be plowing the parking lot that you see, but the main road coming up. So there's not going to be a reliance on an outside entity. Although that road serves a couple other businesses, we will have the primary responsibility to plow it and make sure that everybody can get in and out.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
So just one quick question about lockers. So are we installing lockers or are we going in a
Good
different
question.
direction?
I forgot to mention that. So the middle school will all have lockers. There's, I think we have 400 lockers? Yeah, 400 lockers. It's, so all the middle school students will have, high school, no lockers. No lockers.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I just wanted to make one comment about the HVAC, that mandate that we seem to be getting down from the state. We don't know much about, but I just wanted you to speak to. I think we incorporated, it's just something that the board should know as far as our future budget.
Yeah,
Tackling some of it right here.
yeah, thank you.
Oh, Julie, please.
Just for the record, I know that we have quite a few safety findings in the recent high school. Will this new facility will cover all the previous findings from the high school? Will have new technology, enough security cameras, in general terms?
We do, that's, so school security is one of the most important aspects of building a school. It's become so important that the state has made very specific requirements that have to be implemented. You have to prove that you've implemented it. One of the tests that we have to go through in a week, right, about a week away, is to prove to the state that we have ample security to protect the kids and all the occupants, and we do. The other benefit to this building is this building had more cameras than I couldn't even add another camera. It's got cameras in parking lots, it's got cameras in every corner, and these are operable cameras. You can literally pinpoint somebody, on the other end of the parking lot. There's also a main camera when you come up the road, so you can actually see who's approaching your school, which is great. It reports directly into a control center in this building. So as a corporate headquarters, I think they did a great job making sure that this place was well locked down and well monitored. And we're only enhancing that.
Thank you.
Okay, we're just there. So last question, Gladys, please.
I'm sort of knowing, why is it that we're not having lockers for our high school students?
Well, that's a good question. When I went to high school, I had a locker, and the new trend now in education is high school kids don't want to use lockers.
Okay.
Yeah. We we would gladly put them in, but from our understanding, the current student population at the high school rarely, if nobody uses them anymore. We actually just had a discussion about taking them out. So it's a new trend that these kids don't like to use their lockers anymore. I was attached to mine. If I could live in it, I would.
I was just thinking, I have a 7-year-old, and every day I said to her, by the time you get into 5th grade, your back is going to be broken because of all the, the heavy book bag that she has to carry to school. And then a little 5-year-old, he's almost at her point. And I'm thinking, by the time you come 12 or 14, you're going to have back problems. So that was my only reason for asking.
That's a good question.
Okay.
But the trend
thank
is
you.
high school kids don't like to use lockers. It's kind of been trending that way in the last probably 8 years now, almost 10 years, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, Teresa, last one.
Will there be a rock wall?
I'm sorry, say that again?
A rock wall, climbing wall?
No. That wasn't, did I miss any aspect?
No, it's not there, but we did make a provision for a future if the school does decide to do it.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. We really, our guidance document, as soon as that ed spec's put together, like I said, the way we grade ourselves in, whether or not we did a good job is if we're able to tackle and provide every one of those educational requirements, which your educators put together and work with. So us providing you that space is the key. Yeah. I don't think we have insurance for rock walls, by the way. Rock wall climbing. Right, that's your field.
Okay, I had said last question, but I'm actually gonna have 2 more. Julie, and then Bridget, and then we'll move to an action.
This will be my last question. I'm not sure, but I haven't heard anything about green energy. I know that in the past, Ms. Caneda and everybody in the board have requested, or at least requested information about green energy in the new facilities. So I haven't heard anything regarding.
Sure. This has been heavily discussed, and actually was a question that came out of the building committee a couple weeks ago. So we do have a small solar array, but it's really for educational purposes. It kind of shows and is able to educate kids on how solar panel works, how to generate electricity, and you can monitor how much of that electricity produced. There was no discussion about doing a solar type of array here or any other green energy. 2 things. We are very close to the airport, and we have a very dedicated height that we have to try to stay under, or else the FAA would require a substantial review and certification. So height is a big consideration. And the other thing is having done a lot of solar projects, the current trend today, the way these solar projects are going, they're all over the place. Some leases work out, some don't. A lot of the solar projects that were installed 10, 15 years ago aren't hitting their mark. They're just not, the technology and the business model to do like solar projects has to really be looked at pretty hard. I'm looking at a solar project at the top of the landfill on the city side. Been looking at it for 5 years. I can't get a business model that works based on the capital investment that's provided and the offset in energy cost. If you get into a lease scenario where, which is even more complicated, the business model becomes even more complex. So at this point, this school does not have any solar on it, and that's kind of how we proceeded with the project.
One other point is that we're required under the requirements of the project to design to the Connecticut High Performance Standards. So those bring in lots of different points. So if you're familiar with the LEED energy conscious design, this is equivalent to a silver rating for that standard, which is a not the top of the line, but it's not it's not down here either. It's the midpoint, if you will. So there are things in there that are taken into consideration as far as using recycled materials, using things that, from a mechanical standpoint, from a water usage standpoint, those kinds of things are in place here. But as Antonio said, not the green energy, solar or wind or anything like that.
Thank you. Very important, just to follow up to what Glenn said, is the high performance requirement is a tough requirement to meet. What that does is it forces us to purchase and design the most highly efficient mechanical systems, electrical systems, variable frequency drives. So the state basically says, if we're going to give you money to design and build a school, we want to make sure that you build the most efficient, low energy school you can possibly build. And we have to, that's another test that we go through when we have our plan review. We have to be able to demonstrate that we hit a certain number of points in achieving a high efficiency school.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for this presentation. I mean, it's incredible, you know, time, effort. You know, I have background in this, so I understand a big space all of a sudden becomes very small when you're trying to accommodate everything. So thank you so much. We are going to be getting together again at 7, but I just wanted to ask for a motion that the Sites and Facilities Committee recommend to the Board of Education the approval of the final plan, specifications, and cost estimate for Phase 2 of Danbury Career Academy project in accordance with the exhibits on file in the VBAC board.
Madam Chair, if you're not going to make that, if you have made that motion, I'd be love to second it. Also with, you made the motion, you are making the motion? Okay.
I'm
Mr.
calling for the
Igarolo
motion.
and
I'm
his team.
calling for the motion.
I'm sorry?
I'm calling for the motion.
You're calling for the motion, so you need somebody to make it.
Please,
I'd be honored to make the motion. Do you need me to read it again?
please do so.
All right. I'd like to start to say by congratulating Mr. Igarolo and his team. Over the years, sir, you have demonstrated continued success in bringing in projects complete, fulfilled, and sometimes even under budget and on time. So it'd be my honor to make the motion for the Sites and Facilities Committee. Take a vote. That the Sites and Facilities Committee recommend to the Board of Education, the whole board, the approval of the final plans, specifications, and cost estimate for Phase 2 of the Danbury Career Academy project in accordance with the exhibits on file in the BBAC board, right at 2,200 pages, right over there. Do I hear a second?
Second. Okay. Al and Julie second. You're not on it.
I'll say.
Louisa, sorry. She's not on. Okay. And a motion to adjourn.
No, we got to call for the vote. right?
Oh,
What does
Yes,
the
you're
subcommittee recommend it?
yes, we do. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Motion to adjourn?
I second that motion.
Thank you.